Captain Elena Vasquez knelt beside a twisted piece of metal that used to be part of a control panel aboard what was once a Draconi colony ship. Her team, consisting of 10 other rescue personnel, had been on the scene for nearly 2 hours now. The air inside the derelict vessel was cold and heavy, filled with the acrid smell of smoke and burnt metal. "Captain," one of her crew members called out over their communication device, his voice tense. "We found another body." Elena nodded solemnly as she scanned through the debris-littered corridors where life support systems no longer functioned properly. Oxygen levels were dwindling by the minute, but there was still hope that they might find a survivor. "Continue searching," she instructed calmly over her comms unit. Her voice remained steady despite the mounting despair within. There had been 3,000 Draconi aboard when this ship left their home planet to establish a new colony on an unexplored world. It seemed impossible now, but only one heart still beat here amongst all that silence and ruin. As Elena moved deeper into the wreckage with her team trailing close behind, flashes of light periodically illuminated sections of the darkened cord, or emergency lighting flickered erratically from what must have been a nearby power surge during whatever catastrophic event had destroyed this colony ship. The sound of metal groaning under pressure combined with low hums and occasional clinks as pieces shifted against each other filled the air thickly. Suddenly, out of nowhere, one of her team members let out an urgent warning. "Captain, pirates attacked." Elena's eyes widened in alarm. Such a maneuver was not unheard of, but it was rare for pirates to target ships carrying no valuable cargo like this particular Draconi vessel. The reality sank in hard as another explosion shook the already unstable structure around them. Shards of metal and debris flew through the air. Crew members scattered instinctively. "Everyone stay calm," Elena shouted over the comm, her heart racing but mind clear. "We need to regroup and establish a perimeter before we continue our search." Her team responded efficiently, moving swiftly yet cautiously amidst falling remnants from collapsed sections above them. Hours passed, with no sign of life. Every vent opened only revealed charred remains or empty spaces where bodies once rested peacefully. "Captain," one crew member said after several long minutes had gone by without finding anyone alive among the wreckage, "we should consider calling this mission complete." She hesitated, her gaze drifting back to a small grated opening tucked away near an alcovey vent cover that seemed out of place against the otherwise orderly design of Draconi engineering systems. "I want us to take another look at every corner," Elena insisted softly but firmly. Someone could still be hiding somewhere. Turning towards it now with determination gleaming in her brown eyes, she knelt down beside it and pulled on the handle gently until it popped open slightly. Inside was darkness and silence. Then came a small cry. "Wait!" Elena's heart skipped a beat as she leaned closer to listen more carefully. Could that really be what she thought? Another team member approached curiously, his face showing similar confusion before they both exchanged looks of realization. The voice spoke again in broken common, but still with urgency. "Please, wait." She pushed the vent cover wide enough so her flashlight could peek inside just a bit more, and there it was, a small figure huddled against one corner, clinging tightly onto some sort of ragged teddy bear while peering out cautiously at them through wary golden eyes. "Hey," Elena called softly into the darkness as she knelt lower down beside vent opening and reached her hand gently toward him. "It's okay. I'm not going to hurt you." He flinched back sharply, fear clear in his posture. Then he stared again closely at her human face before letting out a piercing scream that echoed painfully through confined space inside ship's remains. Kyrax, her voice softened further despite this unexpected reaction from what appeared indeed to be the Draconi equivalent of a young child. I'm here to help you. Hours pass as Elena coaxed him slowly out step by careful step over painstakingly long hours, using patience mixed with gentle touches and words repeated softly in both common and his native tongue whenever he showed signs readying himself for next small leap from Vent's shadows towards safety of open air. Finally, when evening began settling upon skies outside ship's broken form, the hatchling took her outstretched hand, trembling yet firm. She pulled him fully free now into daylight, where waiting team members surrounded them with awe and compassion clear in their faces. "Everyone's gone," he whispered brokenly, after regaining some composure from initial shock of being rescued finally by very monsters supposed to have destroyed this entire vessel along with everyone aboard it back. We pirates first attacked colony ship during voyage en route to new homeworld promised beyond starry darkness enveloping them now on all sides. Tears gathered briefly in Elena's eyes, but she kept her voice steady as she pulled him into a warm hug. "I know," she said softly, "but you're not alone anymore." Captain Elena Vasquez held Tiny tightly as she boarded the rescue shuttle alongside her team members and the Draconi hatchling who had become their unexpected burden. The dimly lit interior of the ship was a stark contrast to the chaotic exterior, where debris from the destroyed colony vessels still floated in space, creating an eerie dance under the harsh lights inside the transport vehicle. "Captain, second in command," Marcus said quietly as he helped secure Tiny into one of the seats beside Elena. "We need to discuss what happens when we get back." Elena's jaw tightened. She didn't like where this conversation was headed, but knew it couldn't be avoided. With a deep breath, she turned her attention from the hatchling in her arms to face Marcus. "I want you to promise me something," Elena began carefully, trying not to let any hint of hesitation seep into her voice. "Whatever happens when we get back, whatever anyone says is right or necessary, I'm going to do my best for him." She nodded towards Tiny, who was now sleeping fitfully against the chair. Marcus sighed heavily, but managed a small nod in understanding. He knew better than to challenge Elena once she had made up her mind about something this serious. "Understood, Captain," he said after a moment's silence stretched between them. "But we still have protocols and procedures." "I know that," Elena interrupted firmly yet without malice, directed at Marcus' concern for their mission integrity. She met his gaze evenly, then looked back down towards Tiny. Her heart constricted slightly when she saw how small the creature was, curled protectively around her hand, even in sleep. "I just need you to promise me one thing too." "What's that?" he asked curiously. "That you'll stand by my side if anyone tries to take him away," Elena said softly, but with an underlying steeliness evident only to those who knew the captain well enough. Marcus blinked, taken aback for a moment before his face softened into reluctant agreement. "Of course." Meanwhile, Tiny stirred in her arms at this exchange between Elena and Marcus, his golden eyes fluttering open briefly as if sensing some tension despite remaining quiet otherwise. When he met Elena's gaze again, however, there was none of the fear or confusion present earlier, simply looked at her with an unspoken gratitude and trust that filled her chest with warmth, even amidst worries about upcoming challenges. Elena gently laid him down onto a makeshift bed set up within the shuttle bay, while keeping one hand firmly clutching his little clawed fingers all throughout. She couldn't help but be reminded of how similar he looked to countless other Draconi hatchlings she had seen depicted in reports or documents over her years serving alongside humans and aliens alike, small, delicate forms wrapped tightly around plush toys that seemed far too big for them, soft copper scales shimmering even under the unyielding lights above large eyes full of curiosity despite current drama. This one was different. This one wasn't just another entry in some database or file folder marked Species X. He had cried out to her when she approached him. He held onto her hand as if his very life depended on it. And for now at least, Tiny trusted only Elena more than anything else around him. Elena stroked a gentle finger along the line of his jaw, noting how soft but unyielding his scales felt under her touch. "Hey," she whispered softly once again. "I'm right here." Marcus cleared his throat from across the room to draw attention away momentarily as Elena adjusted Tiny's position slightly so he could lie more comfortably despite discomfort lingering clearly on expression even during sleep. "Captain, we're approaching docking bay now," came another voice through radio channels established between rescue team and base command. Elena nodded without taking eyes off her charge, knowing from previous experience that Marcus would handle necessary communication as per protocol. "Understood," she replied succinctly. "Intercom unit instead," while continuing to watch over Tiny closely until they arrived safely within docking station boundaries, where preparations were underway already for immediate transfer of survivors if there had been any other besides him. But now there was just this one tiny dragon, clinging stubbornly onto Elena's hand, even through slumber and dreams. His breaths came shallow and quick at times, evidence of lingering fear disrupting what should have been peaceful rest after so traumatic an ordeal, each exhale visible against cold interior or surfaces like wisps of smoke in dim light. Elena held him close once more as he began to thrash suddenly, amidst nightmarish eyes snapped open mid-scream before relocking onto hers again with sheer terror etched into every feature. "Mother," he choked out between pain-gasping breaths, voice cracking like brittle ice under pressure of raw emotion. Hearing those anguished sounds wrench from such a small creature tore at Elena's own heart strings deeply. She tightened her embrace around Tiny protectively and whispered soothing words in both common tongue as well as Draconi language to help calm him down. "I'm here, I've got you," she repeated again and again softly, like a lullaby meant to comfort wounded souls. Tiny gradually began calming under this reassurance, but still refused to let go of Elena's hand entirely, each finger entwined tightly with hers, as if searching for invisible safety harnesses amidst swirling dreams. His breath slowly eased back into normal rhythm, though continued hitching briefly at times as past memories resurfaced unbidden. "Captain, we need you up front," Marcus said again through intercom after several minutes had passed since docking procedure commenced without incident thus far. "They are ready to take him now." Elena's grip on Tiny tightened subconsciously, despite knowing there was no one better equipped than trained medical staff for tending his needs properly once they arrived back at base facilities designed specifically for such situations. He still hesitated when it came time actually releasing her hold. "Wait," she whispered urgently. "Intercom unit," even as others nearby watched curiously now over shoulder of second in command, who was already moving towards front area where docking crew awaited them eagerly, enough to begin transfer process without delay. "Give us a moment." Marcus nodded understandingly and relayed request through proper channels before returning to stand beside Elena once more near Tiny's makeshift resting spot. Together they waited until word came back confirming temporary postponement of official handover. "Captain," Marcus asked carefully, after ensuring docking team would give them enough space for personal goodbye ceremony, without feeling rushed or pressured by impatient officials waiting elsewhere for formalities regarding this singular rescued survivor from tragic colony ship incident. Elena looked down at Tiny one last time, seeing mirrored reflection of her own conflicted emotions there in his wide eyes before speaking softly, but with conviction. "You're safe now," she promised him gently while still holding on to fingers he clutched fiercely, even through sleep induced by exhaustion and trauma alike. "No monsters will hurt you here." Tiny's breathing finally steadied completely then, trust shining clearly back up at her face, as if somehow understanding words communicated despite barriers between species languages themselves. "Captain," Marcus pressed again more insistently, this time since docking crew was beginning to grow restless with delay, though no actual protocol violation had occurred yet, technically speaking, either way. He knew Elena needed just a little bit longer before committing herself fully towards leaving this young dragon hatchling completely behind, as he would soon become regardless of any private promises made in moments like these. Elena took another deep breath, letting all the weight settle into her bones and heart alike. She could feel Marcus' eyes on them both, even knowing implicitly that his support wouldn't falter no matter what decision Elena ultimately chose to make at this juncture. But there was only one person who truly mattered here right now anyway. "Marcus," she began quietly, feeling those golden orbs blink upwards towards her in curiosity, as if sensing some shift coming, but unwilling yet to let go of safety provided through fingers still entwined protectively with his own. "I can't give him up." Tiny's eyes widened slightly at Elena's words, despite remaining silent otherwise, though whether he understood or merely sensed something significant happening remained unclear amidst current circumstances surrounding them all. "Captain," Marcus said in a low voice that nonetheless carried authority born from years serving together closely now as well-trusted partners, navigating treacherous waters of interspecies relations within galaxy-spanning human-led coalition forces. "That's not really an option right now." "I know." Elena nodded firmly, squeezing Tiny tightly for one more long moment before reluctantly beginning to ease her grip slightly, but still maintaining close physical contact, even while turning body enough so she could face Marcus directly without breaking eye contact with either of them. "What do we do then?" he asked quietly back instead, since knowing Elena well enough to realize this wasn't about stubbornness over protocol violations or arbitrary refusal to adhere by existing rules governing such situations. Rather, it was about genuine conviction rooted deep within personal principles guiding her actions, always regardless what official channels said or did in cases like these. Elena's expression softened ever so slightly now that she didn't have to fight against internal conflict any longer, since decision had been made already, even if external confirmation remained uncertain. Still, she looked at Tiny once more, seeing reflected back there not only his fear and confusion, but also burgeoning sense of trust amidst all those other emotions swirling around within him. "We do what needs doing," she replied softly yet firmly, instead, "because sometimes that's the right thing to do." And with one final glance towards Marcus for silent agreement before turning full attention back onto Tiny again, despite knowing next steps ahead would be challenging no matter how prepared they might appear otherwise in present moment, Elena made her decision a choice that would change not only their fates, but potentially even destinies of entire species involved with an ongoing saga unfolding far beyond this single shuttle bay where light danced across copper scales and human hands intertwined protectively amidst shared struggle for survival against overwhelming odds. She looked at the child one last time before making the final move, knowing she could never take it back. Chapter 3. The dimly lit corridors of Earth's central space station were filled with a constant hum and flicker of various machines, punctuated by the steady beep of security monitors and the occasional whirring of maintenance drones. The air was thick with an electrical scent, metallic and slightly acrid, and there lingered the faint tang of burnt wiring from recent system upgrades. Elena Vasquez led Tiny through this sterile environment with a protective grip on his small hand, her movements steady despite the turmoil brewing in her chest. She had already informed Marcus about their next steps over comms. He was waiting outside to provide backup should it be needed. "We're almost there," Elena said softly as she guided him towards the designated meeting area where Draconi officials were expected to arrive shortly. Tiny's golden eyes, brimming with a mix of fear and curiosity, darted around nervously, clinging closer to her side. Suddenly, the air buzzed with an alert signal indicating imminent arrival, and the door hissed open just as Elena had predicted it would. A team of 4 Draconi officials entered, their copper scales glinting under the harsh fluorescent lights. They were all fully grown adults, towering over Tiny and Elena alike, their expressions coldly formal. "Captain Vasquez," one of them greeted in a deep baritone that echoed slightly off the metallic walls. "We've come to retrieve our hatchling." His eyes flicked towards Tiny briefly before returning to meet hers, an unwavering demand evident from his tone. Tiny whimpered softly at their approach, but tightened his grip on Elena's hand, as if seeking additional strength and security. The officials ignored this reaction entirely, expecting immediate compliance instead of understanding the child's distress. "I understand," Elena replied calmly, though her heart pounded in her chest, "but I can't let you take him just yet." The Draconi official arched an eyebrow, but did not show any visible surprise. "Why is that?" he asked evenly, his voice devoid of emotion, despite knowing their species often considered such actions by humans to be beneath contempt. "Because," Elena continued firmly without hesitation or apology, her gaze unyielding and steady upon him, "he needs proper care before being subjected to further trauma." A flicker of annoyance crossed the official's face, but he maintained his composure. "He belongs with his people," was all that came out next, clearly dismissing any concerns about Tiny's emotional state or well-being. "He does indeed belong somewhere safe and nurturing," Elena countered resolutely while squeezing Tiny closer to herself protectively, ensuring they both felt her strength, even in the face of such rigid demands from their visitors. "Does screaming sound like a place that feels secure?" Tiny buried his head into Elena's side, his body shaking slightly as more tears welled up at the mere sight and voice of these strangers who meant to take him away again after everything he had just endured. The Draconi official's expression hardened further, but remained silent for a moment before responding sharply. "Captain Vasquez," there was a clear warning in his eyes now, knowing full well they were on thin ice already, "we do not negotiate with human emotions." Elena took another deep breath and stood firm despite the tension mounting around her shoulders like an oppressive weight. "Court-martial me," she said finally without backing down, but instead meeting this ultimatum head-on. Her voice remained steady yet unyielding amidst any potential consequences looming over them both now. The official's eyes narrowed dangerously, clearly not expecting such defiance from a human counterpart, and certainly not one of their rank within galactic protocols governing interspecies cooperation missions like theirs. had been supposed to be about until now. Anyway, you will. But before he could finish his warning, or make any further demands, Elena made her decision clear through action alone rather than just words. She turned towards the officials, with Tiny still tightly clutched beside her, and started walking away from them all, directly heading out into station corridor instead of moving back inside designated meeting room like they wanted. "What are you?" one official began, but was cut off by another who swiftly assessed this new situation unfolding right before their eyes, without any prior warning or obvious trigger event besides human woman refusing to comply despite clear orders given beforehand anyway. "I'll take care of it," she said coldly, turning back towards Elena and Tiny as they moved further away from the group, completely unmoved now by her refusal. Elena led them past several security checkpoints, ignoring questions raised there about unapproved exits without proper authorization, clearance codes, or signatures approved for such actions under galactic rules governing human-led coalition forces operations in general. She simply bypassed everything until she reached an exit leading back into Earth's atmosphere, where temporary refuge could be sought out from all this immediate chaos and confrontation ongoing here within station facilities currently. Once outside, the cool air of night greeted them, along with distant sounds of city nightlife filtering up through open windows near surrounding buildings, close enough to feel warm glow reflecting off walls nearby but far enough away still not to intrude noisily into their quiet escape now underway. Elena paused momentarily under a streetlight and turned towards Tiny, who had been silent all this time except for occasional sniffles muffled against her side. "Everything's going to be okay," she whispered reassuringly, as much to herself, perhaps even more so than just trying to comfort him right then in that moment. "We'll figure it out." Tiny looked up at her with those golden eyes filled now not only fear but also trust and a strange kind of hope. His little hand tightened around hers, once more seeking reassurance amidst all uncertainty ahead. Elena took one final look back towards station before turning fully away from where Draconi officials would surely track them down soon enough, no matter what happened next here today. She didn't care about the protocols or rules dictating such scenarios under normal circumstances this time. Elena knew she was doing exactly what needed to be done despite potential repercussions looming large already around their temporary defiance against established orders. With that final glance over shoulder towards past troubles left behind now for future ones yet unknown still awaiting them ahead instead, Captain Elena Vasquez and the Draconi hatchling called Tiny stepped out into uncertain darkness of night, towed through illegally, but determined to find safety somewhere amidst all chaos currently unfolding between species caught up in conflict far beyond just one little dragon's story. Alone, she took him home, temporarily, illegally. She didn't care. Captain Elena Vasquez and Tiny stepped into a dimly lit corridor filled with the hum of distant machinery and low murmurs from security personnel stationed at various checkpoints throughout the station. The air was cool against their skin, carrying the faint scent of ozone mingled with metal and recycled oxygen, a stark contrast to the sterile brightness inside the official meeting room they had just left. "Elena," a stern voice called out behind them. "You're not supposed to leave like this." Vasquez turned sharply, her dark braids swinging against her shoulder. Her eyes met those of Commander Marcus Hale, a seasoned officer who often worked closely with galactic security protocols, but was known for his pragmatic approach in crisis situations. "In taking him home," Elena replied firmly, nodding towards Tiny, who stood quietly by her side, clutching the edge of her rescue gear jacket tightly in both hands. His golden eyes were wide and fearful as he looked between Elena and Marcus, seeking confirmation that this uncertain path they had chosen was indeed safe. Marcus hesitated for a moment, his gaze shifting from Vasquez to the small draconi hatchling beside them. "I understand you're trying to protect him," he began cautiously, his voice softening slightly, knowing full well how deeply Elena cared about her missions and their human-alien relations work. "This goes against protocol, I know that." Her tone was measured but firm, not leaving room for debate. She turned back towards Tiny, who seemed more at ease now with the presence of someone he recognized from previous encounters on rescue operations. "Captain Vasquez," Marcus continued after a pause, his voice adopting a different note, suggesting compromise and understanding rather than strict adherence to rules. "Let's handle this through proper channels. Go to custody hearing tomorrow morning where we can properly evaluate why. Our request for temporary guardianship." Elena nodded reluctantly, but saw the logic in waiting until full counsel could make an informed decision based on all available information regarding Tiny's well-being, legal status under Draconi law concerning child welfare cases following such catastrophic loss of life among their colonies. The next morning dawned with a dull gray light filtering through thick clouds outside the station windows. Elena arrived early for the custody hearing that would determine whether she could temporarily keep Tiny while proper foster placement arrangements were made by official galactic authorities overseeing interstellar adoption protocols and regulations ensuring such placements are indeed in best interests of minors involved. As she entered the designated meeting room, several Draconi officials already occupied seats around a large circular table illuminated only partially by soft blue lighting overhead, creating an ambience akin to twilight within this enclosed space. Tiny clung closely to Elena's side, his damaged wing drooping slightly as he hesitated at each step closer towards center stage, where all eyes were now focused. "Captain Vasquez," one of the Draconi officials spoke up promptly once she had taken a seat along with other human representatives present for such deliberations, regularly dealing directly with various diplomatic engagements between Earth and their neighboring draconian worlds. "We understand your desire to ensure Tiny's safety in light of recent tragic events affecting his species." Their voice conveyed both compassion yet also sternness, reflecting serious nature underlying proceedings here today. Another official, more formal and rigid in demeanor compared to others present, addressed Elena directly. "Your actions yesterday defied galactic protocols established precisely for such scenarios involving interspecies relations. What justification can you provide?" Elena glanced down at Tiny, who looked up at her expectantly with those big golden eyes brimming uncertainly but also filled hope now that someone was fighting on his behalf amongst adults handling all these complex issues surrounding him. "I'm not asking to keep him forever," she began carefully, knowing full well how crucial it was to emphasize this point clearly, amidst any potential misunderstandings or misinterpretations arising from such an unusual request. "I'm asking for temporary guardianship while proper foster placement can be arranged." Silence fell over the room as officials considered her words and the implications thereof. "Please," Elena continued, turning towards Tiny, who stood quietly beside her, now more aware of all eyes fixed upon them both, simultaneously recognizing yet another significant moment marking pivotal shifts occurring within his young life story thus far. Let him stay with me for just a few months. I'll ensure he's safe while you find the right home. Tiny stepped forward slightly, glancing around at everyone in the room, until finally looking back up towards Elena, who offered reassuring smile meant to convey unwavering support amidst ongoing uncertainties plaguing his world currently. He saved my life, Tiny said softly, but firmly enough for all present within meeting hall clearly hear, despite low murmurings echoing faintly amongst background noise filtering through open doors leading elsewhere along corridors stretching endlessly beyond here into unknown territories awaiting further exploration and understanding between species coming together across vast galaxies bound only by shared destinies intertwined ever more closely now. Room fell silent once again, this time not merely out of respect, but rather profound recognition settling among those gathered regarding significance underlying Tiny's statement, revealing far greater truths hidden beneath surface level disputes governing legalities concerning custody rights involving alien minors caught amidst conflicts larger still than just one little dragon hatchling surviving amongst ruins left behind after devastating losses endured collectively by entire draconian civilization. Elena placed hand gently on Tiny's shoulder, squeezing reassuringly before turning back towards official panel overseeing such deliberations. Can we at least try this approach? She asked, seriously yet hopeful as well, understanding immense responsibility entailed should permission indeed be granted here today, allowing temporary guardianship arrangement to move forward, ensuring continuity amidst inevitable changes now unfolding irrevocably across interstellar landscape touching lives, countless individuals spanning diverse planets united only through shared humanity's timeless quest for peace among stars. Draconi, official nodded slowly, eyeing Tiny closely once more before turning towards fellow representatives present seeking further consensus regarding potential viability. Such unconventional yet compassionate solution presented here today, addressing urgent need amidst crisis, ongoing requiring both flexibility alongside strict adherence established protocols, ensuring overall stability maintained across galactic communities interconnected through shared struggles and triumphs alike. You're human, another Draconi official pointed out sternly, emphasizing perceived discrepancy between Elena's species alignment versus Tiny's biological heritage, inherently entwined deeply within core tenets guiding draconian cultural identity grounded firmly upon values emphasizing familial bonds forged through blood ties remaining unbroken despite myriad challenges confronting their society now more than ever before. And I'm the only one he trusts, Elena countered calmly yet resolutely, her gaze meeting Tiny's golden eyes, once again seeing reflected back not merely fear or uncertainty, but also growing bond forming swiftly between them, binding hearts together amidst turmoil surrounding all those present here today facing critical juncture, deciding path forward for young Draconi hatchling caught midst epic battle spanning entire cosmos. What does that tell you about your system? She added pointedly, challenging established norms governing legal frameworks regulating such delicate matters involving interspecies relationships and child welfare protections designed ostensibly to safeguard interests of minors involved regardless underlying biological or cultural affiliations, dictating familial bonds typically considered paramount within draconian societal structures. Room remained silent once again as officials deliberated, amidst ongoing discussions surrounding Elena's request, weighing various factors, including legal precedents, already set forth alongside practical considerations necessitating flexible approaches, accommodating unforeseen circumstances arising unexpectedly during times of crisis demanding immediate solutions implemented swiftly yet judiciously, ensuring long-term stability maintained across interstellar communities, interconnected through shared destinies, intertwined ever more closely now. Finally, Draconi, official, spoke up decisively, breaking prolonged silence prevailing amongst those present here today, marking critical moment, deciding Tiny's future amidst ongoing uncertainties plaguing his world currently. Temporary guardianship is granted, he declared firmly yet compassionately, recognizing unique situation presented necessitating departure from standard protocols, albeit briefly, while proper foster placement arrangements can be made, ensuring continuity amidst inevitable changes now unfolding irrevocably across interstellar landscape, touching lives, countless individuals spanning diverse planets, united only through shared humanity's timeless quest for peace among stars. 3 months, he added, emphasizing strict timeline governing such arrangement remaining in place temporarily pending further deliberations regarding permanent solutions ultimately required, ensuring Tiny's best interests safeguarded amidst ongoing challenges confronting draconian civilization now more than ever before. We'll revisit this decision then. Room erupted briefly into murmurs as officials conferred amongst themselves, validating official ruling just rendered, confirming temporary guardianship granted Elena Vasquez for period of 3 months, pending proper foster placement arrangements finalized through established channels, ensuring continuity amidst evolving landscape shaping interstellar relations, binding together diverse species spanning vast galaxies, united only through shared humanity's timeless quest for peace among stars. Tiny looked up at Elena, who offered reassuring smile meant to convey unwavering support amidst ongoing uncertainties plaguing his world currently. He stepped forward slightly, wrapping small arms around her leg tightly in a gesture seeking comfort and reassurance amidst all these overwhelming changes now occurring rapidly surrounding him. "She saved me," Tiny whispered softly yet firmly enough for everyone present within meeting hall clearly hear, despite low murmurings echoing faintly amongst background noise filtering through open doors leading elsewhere along corridors stretching endlessly beyond here into unknown territories, awaiting further exploration and understanding between species coming together across vast galaxies bound only by shared destinies intertwined ever more closely now. Room went silent once again, this time not merely out of respect, but rather profound recognition settling among those gathered regarding significance underlying Tiny's statement, revealing far greater truths hidden beneath surface-level disputes governing legalities concerning custody rights involving alien minors caught amidst conflicts larger still than just one little dragon hatchling surviving amongst ruins left behind after devastating losses endured collectively by entire draconian civilization. Elena placed hand gently on Tiny's shoulder, squeezing reassuringly before turning back towards official panel overseeing such deliberations. "Thank you," she said sincerely yet firmly, recognizing immense responsibility entailed should permission indeed be granted here today, allowing temporary guardianship arrangement to move forward, ensuring continuity amidst inevitable changes now unfolding irrevocably across interstellar landscape touching lives, countless individuals spanning diverse planets united only through shared humanity's timeless quest for peace among stars. 3 months, Draconi official reiterated decisively, breaking prolonged silence prevailing amongst those present here today, marking critical moment, deciding Tiny's future amidst ongoing uncertainties plaguing his world currently. We'll revisit this decision then. Room erupted briefly into murmurs as officials conferred amongst themselves, validating official ruling just rendered, confirming temporary guardianship granted Elena Vasquez for period of 3 months, pending proper foster placement arrangements finalized through established channels, ensuring continuity amidst evolving landscape, shaping interstellar relations, binding together diverse species spanning vast galaxies, united only through shared humanity's timeless quest for peace among stars. Elena nodded firmly, turning towards Tiny, who looked up at her with those big golden eyes brimming uncertainly yet also filled hope now that someone was fighting on his behalf amongst adults handling all these complex issues surrounding him. "We'll figure it out," she reassured softly, but confidently, knowing full well immense challenges lay ahead still amidst ongoing uncertainties plaguing their world currently. Room fell silent once again as officials deliberated amidst ongoing discussions surrounding Elena's request, weighing various factors, including legal precedents already set forth, alongside practical considerations necessitating flexible approaches, accommodating unforeseen circumstances arising unexpectedly during times of crisis, demanding immediate solutions implemented swiftly yet judiciously, ensuring long-term stability maintained across interstellar communities interconnected through shared destinies intertwined ever more closely now. 3 months, Draconi, official declared, firmly breaking prolonged silence prevailing amongst those present here today, marking critical moment, deciding Tiny's future amidst ongoing uncertainties plaguing his world currently. Temporary guardianship is granted for period of 3 months, pending further deliberations regarding permanent solutions ultimately required, ensuring continuity amidst evolving landscape, shaping interstellar relations, binding together diverse species spanning vast galaxies, united only through shared humanity's timeless quest for peace among stars. Room erupted briefly into murmurs as officials conferred amongst themselves, validating official ruling just rendered, confirming temporary guardianship arrangement moving forward under strict timeline governing such unconventional yet compassionate solution presented here today, addressing urgent need amidst crisis ongoing, requiring both flexibility alongside strict adherence established protocols, ensuring overall stability maintained across galactic communities interconnected through shared struggles and triumphs alike. Elena nodded firmly, turning towards Tiny, who looked up at her with those big golden eyes brimming uncertainly yet also filled hope now that someone was fighting on his behalf amongst adults handling all these complex issues surrounding him. "We'll figure it out," she reassured softly, but confidently, knowing full well immense challenges lay ahead still amidst ongoing uncertainties plaguing their world currently. Room went silent once again, this time not merely out of respect, but rather profound recognition, settling among those gathered regarding significance underlying Tiny's statement, revealing far greater truths hidden beneath surface level disputes governing legalities concerning custody rights involving alien minors caught amidst conflicts larger still than just one little dragon hatchling surviving amongst ruins left behind after devastating losses endured collectively by entire draconian civilization. Temporary guardianship was granted. 3 months to find proper placement. Elena Vasquez stepped into her small apartment, pushing open the door with a sigh of relief as she carried Tiny in her arms. The room was dimly lit by soft lights that flickered gently across the walls, casting shadows on the worn furniture and cozy decorations. A faint smell of freshly baked bread filled the air from the kitchen, where Elena had left some loaves cooling on a wire rack. Tiny nestled against Elena's chest, his copper scales cool to her touch. He looked up at her with those big golden eyes that held both fear and curiosity. "Home," he whispered in Draconian, though they were now learning English together. "Yeah, home for the moment," she said softly, setting him down gently on a plush rug by the fireplace where toys lay scattered around an alien spaceship model, some rocks from different planets, and his beloved toy dragon that had survived the destruction of their ship. The room felt warm and comforting despite its simplicity, with bookshelves lining one wall filled with stories. Elena read to Tiny. "Let's get you cleaned up," she said, turning toward a small bathroom just off the kitchen area where towels were already laid out by her side. 3 months had passed in what seemed like an eternity. During this time, Tiny's wing continued to heal under medical care provided by both human and draconian doctors at various stations nearby. Although it was clear his damaged wing would never regain full functionality for flight, he learned to walk steadily on the ground with a slight limp that didn't hinder him much. His copper scales had grown slightly darker as they healed back into place around his body. Elena's apartment buzzed with life more than ever before now that Tiny called it home, even if only temporarily. He loved exploring every corner of her small space, running to the kitchen where she taught him how to crack eggs for breakfast or mix batter for cookies. Sometimes he would help set up dinner plates, learning basic household skills while Elena read out recipes and cooking techniques. "Mama Elena," Tiny called from his bedroom one afternoon as Elena was preparing some tea in the kitchen. He appeared at her side with a drawing clutched tightly between small hands. "Look." His eyes were bright as he handed over the paper, revealing a colorful illustration depicting 3 figures, himself and 2 humans standing together under an arch of stars. Elena's heart swelled seeing this image. She recognized herself and her rescue team members in the picture, smiling warmly at Tiny, who looked back up at them with wide golden eyes filled with affection. "This is beautiful," she murmured softly, while taking it to hang on their refrigerator door next to other drawings of family scenes he had made over these past months. That evening, as they sat down for dinner, Elena felt the weight of responsibility settle upon her shoulders again. She knew that despite forming a deep bond with Tiny, this arrangement was only temporary, a bridge between worlds rather than a permanent solution. Draconian services were in talks about finding him a proper foster family, aligned more closely to his heritage and cultural background. Tiny, Elena began hesitantly after dinner as they sat around the table under soft light spilling from nearby lamps. "There's something I need to tell you." Tiny looked up at her curiously. He had learned enough English now to understand most things being discussed between humans and draconians in their small community. "I've been talking with your people," she continued gently, "and they want what's best for you too. They think it would be good if we could find someone from our world who understands your culture better." Tiny blinked slowly at her words before his expression softened into understanding, but also a touch of sadness creeping in around the edges. "Is this goodbye?" he asked quietly after several long moments passed between them without anyone speaking further. "No," Elena said immediately, reaching out to grasp Tiny's hand where it rested on their shared dinner plate. "Not goodbye at all, sweetie. This is just another step towards finding you a family who can help teach more about your culture and traditions, who won't be me," he interrupted softly but firmly. Elena felt her heart shatter upon hearing him ask this question so clearly despite his young age. She squeezed Tiny's hand tightly, looking deep into those golden eyes reflecting both wisdom beyond years and innocent hope shining brightly within them still. "I want you more than anything," she said through clenched teeth, fighting back tears that threatened to spill over now. "But it's important for you to know about your heritage and traditions." Tiny watched her closely, as if searching deep inside her soul, looking past the surface layers of human emotions toward something deeper underlying these conversations. "And I deserve—" He paused thoughtfully before meeting Elena's gaze steadily once again. His voice was clear when he spoke next, though quieter still compared to previous words exchanged between them. "I deserve you." Her heart shattered upon hearing those simple yet profound words uttered from Tiny's mouth. Same words she had said minutes ago, echoing back towards her through his reflection of love and hope held tightly together inside these last few months shared under one roof. Tiny sat rigidly on a wooden chair inside the conference room of a government building where Elena's adoption hearing was taking place. The room was sterile and cold, with walls painted an institutional white that only served to highlight his copper scales and golden eyes standing out against everything around him. A flickering light from the fluorescent bulbs above cast eerie shadows over every face in attendance. Why humans in dark suits who seemed more interested in their phones than what was happening before them? Elena stood nervously by Tiny's side, her heart racing as if it could escape through a vent any moment now and join him. She held his small hand tightly within hers, feeling the warmth of his little body radiating reassurance despite the nervousness she detected bubbling beneath that calm surface. To her right was a line of supporters, her team from the rescue mission, who had become like family to them both over these months. "Is this really happening?" Tiny whispered softly, as he watched people file in, their shoes clicking against polished floors, and conversations buzzing lowly but urgently around him. Elena nodded solemnly. "Yes, little one," she replied with a tight smile meant for strength rather than comfort. She had prepared herself mentally over the past weeks that today was going to be difficult. There would likely be challenges thrown her way by those who saw this as an abomination instead of a sign of hope and progress. The room grew quiet when Judge Alera entered, her presence carrying authority despite being soft-spoken. The judge's eyes flicked between Elena and Tiny before settling on the human woman first. "Captain Vasquez," she greeted formally, but with kindness visible in those same eyes. "We are gathered here today under extraordinary circumstances regarding your request to adopt Kyrex, now known as Tiny within our community." Elena straightened her back immediately upon hearing his real name being spoken aloud for the first time since bringing him home. She looked directly at Judge Alera and nodded respectfully before addressing everyone present with clear determination in her voice. "Your Honor, I understand this is a unique case, and that many here believe it should not be allowed on grounds of species difference alone. However," she continued firmly, turning to face the crowd momentarily while still keeping one hand resting gently atop Tiny's head where he had leaned into her side for comfort, "Tiny isn't just another statistic or piece in some political puzzle. He is a living being who has already experienced so much pain and loss. Humans saved him once from certain death when draconian authorities couldn't reach their colony ship fast enough." The room was silent except for the sound of breathing an occasional shifting as people waited to hear more. "Captain Vasquez," Judge Alara interjected calmly, after a moment, "I understand your passion, but please allow me to proceed in order. We have several individuals here today who wish to speak on behalf of various groups supporting Tiny's well-being." Elena nodded once again before stepping back slightly, as her team members took their positions behind them, each one ready if called upon by the judge or another speaker. A man from Draconian Services stepped forward next, his eyes flickering nervously between Elena and Tiny. "Your Honor," he began hesitantly, but with practiced diplomacy, "while we understand Captain Vasquez's desire to care for Kyrex given past circumstances, we believe it would be in the best interest of all parties involved if proper cultural guardians could step forward." The man paused briefly before continuing almost apologetically. "He needs someone who understands his customs and traditions better than any human possibly ever could." Tiny's eyes narrowed slightly at these words, though he remained silent beside Elena, whose grip on him tightened reflexively in response to the tension growing within this room. However, another voice interrupted smoothly, a woman from human rights advocacy stepping forward with confidence despite her younger appearance compared to many others present. "We believe that biological lineage alone should not determine who is best suited to raise a child." Her gaze flicked meaningfully towards Elena and Tiny before continuing strongly, "What matters most is love, compassion, and willingness to provide a stable environment, not just blood ties." Judge Alara added thoughtfully, after hearing both sides presented. This final statement seemed to shift the mood within the room palpably. People began whispering amongst themselves again, but with less hostility, evident now compared earlier, when emotions ran higher. The door at one end of the conference room suddenly swung open, admitting a floodlight, accompanied by excited murmurs among those nearest its source. "Sorry for being late," an older man announced breathlessly, while moving towards center stage where cameras and microphones were set up ready to record proceedings. "Who is this?" Someone from Draconian Services whispered loudly enough for nearby attendees like Elena and Tiny to overhear despite their relative distance apart. As if responding directly only because no one else appeared prepared to introduce him, Judge Alara cleared her throat politely before speaking again. "Captain Vasquez," she addressed once more while turning slightly towards them both, now framed within this new light. Arce entering through that open doorway behind the crowd's backsides facing opposite direction. "Your request involves complex legal considerations extending beyond traditional boundaries." A digital tablet was passed around quickly thereafter, until finally reaching Elena, who accepted it with practiced ease from one of her supporters. She clicked rapidly through pages displaying compiled data and testimonials gathered over weeks in preparation for this moment. "Your Honor," she said once more after finishing review, handing the device back without hesitation now that its contents confirmed everything previously stated verbally by herself or those supporting them thus far tonight during hearing session. "We have collected evidence highlighting both parties' commitment to finding best possible outcome regardless of species labels." She paused briefly, then continued with renewed determination. "We believe Captain Vasquez represents precisely this kind of guardian who can ensure Tiny receives all necessary care while continuing cultural education provided by trained professionals within our community." "Captain Vasquez," Judge Alara interjected once more, now sounding even calmer than initial introduction given earlier, "may I ask you a question?" Elena nodded almost imperceptibly, but clearly before responding. "Of course. What is it that makes you think human adoption of Kyrax would best suit his future development? She asked directly. Because, Elena began slowly, choosing her next words carefully. After a brief pause, Tiny deserves someone who loves him unconditionally and will never let go no matter how hard things get. She looked down towards where Tiny's golden eyes met hers steadily during this exchange before continuing softly, but with conviction. I am that person for him, and am your family. Tiny chimed in unexpectedly yet confidently from beside her, earning surprised glances across room among those listening closely now. Judge Alara blinked briefly, then smiled ever so slightly at this unexpected declaration coming directly from young dragon Hatchling, before turning back towards Elena with renewed interest apparent, with a gaze fixed upon human woman standing there resolutely despite circumstances surrounding case presented today. Very well, she finally concluded after momentary pause. Considering all information presented thus far, including recent developments mentioned just now, everyone in attendance held their breaths collectively while waiting for final verdict regarding whether Elena could legally adopt Tiny from here forward without additional obstacles placed along path toward permanent arrangement, ensuring child's continued well-being under human guardianship. Captain Vasquez, Judge Alara concluded finally, you are granted legal custody of Kyrex, known simply as Tiny within this community. Elena felt her heart leap into throat upon hearing those words officially declared out loud amidst room filled now with murmurs and sounds of applause erupting simultaneously from multiple sources all around them. She turned immediately towards Tiny, who looked up at her nervously, still trying to grasp significance behind these proceedings, despite having been promised earlier today would result positively for both their sakes moving forward together as family beyond rescue mission. Days already passed long ago since first meeting between species brought under same roof, united by shared tragedy yet overcoming fears born from isolation through mutual compassion shown towards each other's needs. Is this goodbye? Tiny asked once more quietly, but with genuine confusion now apparent within his golden eyes, reflecting back concern over whether Elena truly meant what she had said earlier today regarding permanence of their relationship going forward despite challenges facing both worlds represented here before court ruling finalized tonight. No, Elena replied immediately, reaching out to grasp Tiny's hand tightly where it rested on tabletop between them. Not goodbye at all, sweetie. She squeezed his small palm gently while meeting those golden eyes steadily, once again filled with hope shining brightly amidst lingering uncertainties still existing within this newly forged bond now officially recognized under law governing both human and draconian societies alike. Can I stay? Tiny questioned hesitantly yet clearly yearning confirmation regarding future prospects awaiting him moving forward beyond immediate aftermath surrounding today's hearing results. You can stay, Elena confirmed solemnly while wiping away stray tears threatening to spill over despite efforts made earlier. Not let emotions overwhelm clarity needed during critical moments like these ones currently unfolding before them, now united by shared victory against odds, facing both worlds, seeking mutual understanding towards common goal, ensuring Tiny receives best possible upbringing available regardless of species differences inherent within respective cultures represented here today. Forever, she added emphatically, while pulling Tiny closer into her side, where warmth radiating from his small body met comfort provided through embrace, offering reassurance needed amid uncertainties still lingering midst changes brought about officially recognized tonight by court ruling granting Elena permanent guardianship over tiny dragon hatchling who had once believed humans were monsters before finding mother among those very species now embracing him openly despite previous fears dividing worlds apart, until this moment arrived bringing them together under shared banner of hope and progress, moving forward united as one family, across boundaries traditionally separating human from draconian domains forevermore. Tiny watched her closely then, looking deep into those brown eyes reflecting back love returned equally strongly, amidst uncertainties still existing, but now overcome through mutual commitment towards each other's needs, demonstrated openly tonight, during hearing proceedings finalized officially, under law recognizing Elena Vasquez formally becoming Tiny's legal guardian henceforth, without additional obstacles placed along path, ensuring his continued well-being under human guardianship despite challenges facing both worlds, represented here today, united by shared victory brought about officially recognized ruling granting permanence to bond forged amidst tragedy yet strengthened through compassion shown towards each other's needs, moving forward together as one family, across boundaries traditionally separating species apart, until this moment arrived bringing them closer than ever imagined possible before. Tiny didn't understand politics. He just knew that now when he looked up into those brown eyes staring back at him from where they stood united amidst applause erupting around room, celebrating victory won tonight against odds facing both worlds seeking mutual understanding towards common goal ensuring Tiny receives best possible upbringing available regardless of species differences inherent within respective cultures represented here today. And I deserve you, Tiny chimed softly but clearly amidst this celebration, his golden eyes reflecting back hope shining brightly amidst uncertainties still lingering yet now overcome through love shown openly tonight, during hearing proceedings finalized officially, under law recognizing Elena Vasquez formally becoming Tiny's legal guardian henceforth, without additional obstacles placed along path ensuring his continued well-being under human guardianship despite challenges facing both worlds, represented here today united by shared victory brought about officially recognized ruling granting permanence to bond forged amidst tragedy yet strengthened through compassion shown towards each other's needs, moving forward together as one family, across boundaries traditionally separating species apart, until this moment arrived bringing them closer than ever imagined possible before. Tiny hugged her tight then, feeling the warmth and comfort of Elena's embrace like never before. "I knew you'd keep me," he whispered into her shoulder, his voice barely audible, but filled with a deep sense of belonging that had been missing in his life until now. "You're my human mother." Elena squeezed him back tightly, tears streaming down her face as she realized the full extent of what this moment meant not just for them, but for both species who were watching and listening from afar. "You can stay," Elena said again, this time with a smile breaking through the tension in her voice. "You're staying forever." Tiny pulled back slightly to look up at her once more, his eyes sparkling with joy and relief now that everything was settled officially, without any further doubt or fear regarding permanence of their bond moving forward under legal recognition granted tonight by court ruling finalized amidst celebration erupting around room, celebrating victory won against odds facing both worlds, seeking mutual understanding towards common goal ensuring Tiny receives best possible upbringing available regardless of species differences inherent within respective cultures represented here today. I knew it, he said simply, reaching up to wipe away a tear from Elena's cheek with the back of his small hand. You're my family. The room erupted once more as news spread rapidly. Outside these walls, where supporters waited anxiously for outcome of proceedings finalized officially, under law recognizing Elena Vasquez formally becoming Tiny's legal guardian henceforth, without additional obstacles placed along path ensuring his continued well-being under human guardianship despite challenges facing both worlds represented here today, united by shared victory, brought about officially recognized ruling granting permanence to bond forged amidst tragedy yet strengthened through compassion shown towards each other's needs, moving forward together as one family across boundaries traditionally separating species apart, until this moment arrived, bringing them closer than ever imagined possible before. The dragon hatchling who thought humans were monsters found his mother in one, and humans learned that family is bigger than species.